Okay. You gonna, okay. We can amend it and put it on there. Okay. If I could have your attention, please, if you would, willing and able, stand for the invocation, and I'll ask the county manager, Mr. Bonner, if he would have the invocation, and if you would, remain standing for the pledge to the United States flag.
Good morning. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning and ask thy blessings on all the work that we have before us. Father, bless our country. Bless the military, our sons and daughters who are serving in foreign lands. Protect them and bring them home safe to us again. Father, buoy up our leaders of our country and our world. We have a tremendous workload and a responsibility as Americans. Give us the confidence, give us the wisdom and the will to do the work in the way that's pleasing into your eye. In all things we pray in your name. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Board.
Thank you. I'm showing 9 o'clock with the Henry County Board of Commissioners, 9 a.m. Tuesday, January the 5th, 2016. Come to order, please. And on behalf of the board, I want to wish everybody a happy New Year. The agenda, I would like to ask the board to consider two items. One is to remove item 11, which is amendment, a resolution 15-181. That's the administrative part of the budget 2015-2016, and we will hear that. We'll revisit that at a later date. And the second thing is to add C under 16 and put February, I think, the 15th. And we will consider canceling that because I think it's winter break for the Henry County school system. So, having said that, if somebody move that we approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Have a motion, District 3. Second, District 1. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign, so moved. Next, we'd recognize a person that takes care of all the rabies breakouts in Henry County. He does an excellent job at it. I'm seeing him squirming because he don't like people to tell him things like this, but I'd like to recognize Mr. Vince Farr, Animal Control Assistant Director, and he's also our rabies coordinator for Henry County. Good morning, Vince.
Good morning, Chairman, board members. How are y'all this morning?
So far, so good.
Good. I come to you this year with your 2015 rabies report. And on behalf of the Henry County Board of Health and the Henry County Animal Control Department, we tested 18 animals this year for rabies, which 12 came back positive. We executed 7 45-day quarantines in a half-mile area of Henry County in various areas. We had 1 6-month quarantine that we did. The areas of the county that were infected this year, we had 2 in Hampton, not necessarily though within the city limits, 7 in McDonough area, and 3 in Stockbridge. The number 12 is the number that we were lower than last year. We were a little bit higher than that in 2014. So I consider 2015 to be a pretty decent year for us on the side of rabies and the control of the spread of the virus. If you have any questions or
Anybody have any questions or comments? I want to thank you for a job well done, Vince.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Y'all have a happy New Year.
Okay, you too. Public comment, citizens are allowed to voice county-related concerns, opinions, etc. that are not listed on the agenda during this portion of the meeting. All persons wishing to speak for public comments must sign in with the county clerk prior to beginning of the meeting. You must complete the public comment speaker form or you will not be recognized. You will be able to address the board for 5 minutes. Madam Clerk, we have any? Okay, we have none. Board appointments. Appointments of county clerk and deputy county clerk. That is both positions are BOC appointees, so somebody would like to nominate somebody. You want to do it individually or we can do it group form? Having said that, I would recommend that we appoint Stephanie Baum and Consuelo as the, I'm going to change this, it's not a deputy, it's assistant. If somebody would consider moving in that direction.
So move.
Have a motion, District 3. Second, District 2. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, no, same sign. The next appointment is a Board of Health. We had a person that resigned off of it, representing the general public, and we had several names, but it hasn't worked out yet, so unless a board member has a name they'd like to submit, then we're going to bypass this until we find somebody that will serve on the Board of Health. Just for information, the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, by bylaws of the Board of Health, is automatically the chairman of the Board of Health. So I'm the chairman of the Board of Health, and that's why I have so much appreciation for Vince Farrer, because I know what he does, not only for the county, but he's answering to the Board of Commissioners, answers to Animal Control, and also answers to the Board of Health. Consent agenda. The following items shall be considered on the consent agenda. Before voting on the consent agenda, I will allow each commissioner to add or delete the items. Resolution accepting grant from the Georgia Association of Emergency Medical Services in the amount of $47,435.58 to purchase trauma equipment, supplies, funding for EMS related training for Henry County Fire Department. Another resolution accepting the donation of $500 from the Tanger Outlet Center and its merchants for funding of the Firefighter Awards Banquet. Resolution accepting a donation of $500 from Tanger Outlet Center for Henry County Police Department. Senior Services, resolution accepting the First Amendment to contract with the Atlanta Regional Commission for fiscal year 2016. Tax Assessor, resolution approving a product support and enhancement agreement for real property computer assisted mass appraisal. The court, a resolution approving repairs and update a video of the Crestron system in Courtroom B, Superior Court 1, Courthouse Square, McDonough, Georgia, by DB Auto and Video Company. Public Works, resolution authorizing the chairman to execute letter of support agreeing to provide electricity and lighting as needed or required, and all maintenance costs for landscaping of the intersection of Highway 138 and North Mosley Drive after construction of the roundabout is completed. That ends the consent agenda. Does any commissioner like to add to or delete any item? If not, if somebody move, we accept the resolutions on the consent agenda as read.
So moved.
Have a motion, District 5. Second, District 1. Any further discussions? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Next, we're going to recognize Mr. Charlie Reddick, Chief Appraiser. Resolution authorizing the creation of a new position, personnel appraiser, and authorizing a budget amendment. Good morning. Take your time, Charlie.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good morning and Happy New Year to you. We produce, as you well know, the values that turn into about 65% of your expendable income. And of that, one of our areas, personal property, presents a big portion of that value that we produce. That portion of our department has been 3 people since 2002 without any addition. And to just give you an idea of what that means is those 3 people and in 2002, the amount that they contributed to our digest was $1.7 billion. That's 100% value of appraised value. That's inventories, machinery and equipment, airplanes, mobile homes, that type of thing. Now today in 2015, that department produces $2.5 billion of value to that digest. It's doubled, and we have the same 3 people. So what we're asking is that we have a portion to finish out the year, but what we're asking is the additional money so that we can go ahead and hire someone to fill another position in there, which would be a new position, and to get them trained. As you well know and understand, we've got 2 big commercial centers coming on. We are pushing hard to get additional industrial development. We are fighting Freeport exemption versus e-commerce retail inventory position, and we are in desperate need of some additional help. Guys, I don't come ask y'all for things that I don't really need, but my back's against the wall, and 120 hours a week is not getting it. I've got to have that 4th person in there. So that's what I'm asking, and I would appreciate your consideration of this.
Anybody got any comments or questions? If not, we have a resolution to book, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners authorizing use of fund balance for the creation of a new position, personnel property appraisal, and authorizing a budget amendment. Does somebody consider moving in that direction? I have a motion from District 5, second from District 3. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign, so moved. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Resolution awarding a bid for overhead and ADA door maintenance services. Mr. Rod Gray, the President Director, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This morning I have a resolution requesting an award of a bid for an annual contract for overhead door and ADA door maintenance services. Sealed bids were solicited. We received bids from 2 vendors. The low bid is Atlanta Professional Door, and that is the recommendation for award for this annual contract.
Would you be so kind as to put up the bid 16-31, just that one single sheet, and let the people know how many doors that we're looking at? I think that's a significant.
A lot of doors.
It's not like we're just doing one door we might could do in-house, but the maintenance on it is, all these doors need to be working more especially in fire departments 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and down to 13.
And with any new facility, obviously, there may be additional doors added to this maintenance agreement over the potential 3-year period.
Anybody have any questions or comments? If not, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners awarding a bid for the overhead and ADA door maintenance services. If somebody will move in that direction.
So moved.
We have a motion, District 4. Second, District 1. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign.
Thank
So
you.
moved. County Attorney resolution to set the qualifying fees for the elected county officers for 2016. Council.
As the board is aware, each year when there is an election coming up, the Georgia law requires that the Board of Commissioners establish, the Board of Commissioners approve essentially the qualifying fees, and then we publish them likewise in the paper. And what you have before you in this resolution is the qualifying fees for each of the elected county offices for the upcoming election. They are based on the salary paid during 2015. So you'll note there may be some that the next year's salary may be different than this year's salary, or future salary may be different, but the way the law is set up, you base it on the previous year's salary. So for a 2016 election, it would be based on the 2015 election. And that's the board, or the spreadsheet that's on the resolution. And I would recommend you approve it so that these qualifying fees will be final and that candidates will know what they need to pay.
Mandate, that's nothing that we generate.
3%
I want to
is
make that clear
established.
that we don't just arbitrarily.
That's correct. 3% is
3%.
established by the state.
Would you be
That's-
so kind to put that up where people in the
I can
audience
put
mean-
because I do it all on my computer. I can put,
Okay, come get this.
well, why don't I blow up, how about I just blow up the spreadsheet and I bet you they can see it.
And that way the people, I can see that good. I don't know about out on TV.
Is it too shaky? Because it's,
Why don't we put this one up just, it's very blue on ours. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll leave it up there just for a second, and if anybody's interested in any of these positions, they can jot that down. Okay, that's great. Anybody got any questions or comments? If not, we have a resolution setting the qualifying fees for election office for 2016. If somebody move in that direction.
So moved.
Have a motion, District 3.
second.
Second, District 4. Any further discussions? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. So moved. Yes, sir. Thank you. Approval of the minutes for December the 15th. Somebody move, we approve the minutes of December the 15th as published. So moved. Have a motion, District 1. Second, District 3. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Chairman and Commissioner comments. The chairman has none. I yield the floor to District 4.
As you know, I actually want to address my citizens real quick. We had a rezoning that was denied, and the paper recently ran an ad in the paper that said, "Denial of rezoning prompts property owners to consider pig farm." I realize now that the developers, residential developers, are coming back, and part of that, I wanted to let the citizens of Henry County know what I've been working on and where I'm heading. So I'm going to read something real quick. Over the last year, I have heard residential developer after residential developer preach about their rights. The rights to shoehorn as many lots as possible on every vacant parcel in Henry County. I think it's about time we started talking about the rights of the people who live in Henry County. Every person in Henry County moved to this county for a reason. We chose a community that we liked and decided to call that community home. It has become very clear to the 4th District that residential developers are not looking at the makeup of the community and developing a product that fits in the character of the existing community. They are simply looking at the bottom line. Given this information, the 4th District is lobbying for a change in our zoning regulations. Typically, I'm a proponent of small government and less regulations, but in this instance, I feel that the protection of our community is of utmost importance. I am proposing that we change our zoning regulations to remove R3 and R4 from being options in the outlying areas of the county. I am also proposing that each commissioner shall have final say as it pertains to the changes made in their particular district. The 4th District is not saying that residential developers cannot develop. The 4th District is simply saying that the developers need to develop inside the parameters of each individual community. I hope I can gain your support for this initiative. Thank you and God bless. In reviewing the FLUME, which is the future land use map, it becomes very apparent that the outlying areas of Henry County would just become one big subdivision with dollar stores on every corner. And I just think it's about time that this board stepped in and helped this community move in a direction that it needs to go. And with that, I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. I yield the floor to District 1 for any comment.
I would just like to say Happy New Year to everybody, and God bless you.
I yield the floor to District 3 for any comments, if he has any.
I would just like to thank our Public Works Department and our Police and Fire Department for working together to do some major repairs to the roads of Henry County. As you well know, we had 12.6 inches of rain between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day. And we didn't have it as bad as they did up in the northern parts of the country, but we had a tremendous amount of work to do, and they've done a well job, and I think they've already patched 75 potholes as of yesterday, and probably going to do that many more today. And we appreciate the citizens being patient with us on this matter and calling these things in too also. So It's just teamwork to work together, and that's what it's all about. There's no I in team. It's together, everyone achieves more. And I appreciate all our departments coming together and doing that. We had a meeting yesterday to kind of piggyback on what Commissioner Prince was talking about. It's time for our future land use map to be updated. And it's supposed to be done this year, the starting of it. I think within the next 6 months, we're going to update our land use map, and hopefully we can come together and have a lot of public hearings and get public input on all these matters and do what the citizens of Henry County want us to do. Thank you.
Let me clarify that the meeting, it was yesterday, was not a public meeting. It was not advertised. It was, I attended the meeting, most of it. Commissioner Barham attended it. The county manager attended, and the director of planning and zoning, Dante Gibbs, attended the meeting. So we had some concerns about the issues that Commissioner Prince brought up, and I think it's not going to be a quick fix, but it's something that the whole board is basically going to be compelled. And we already understand one size don't fit all. So what might be good for one district may not be good for another district. So this is why it's got to be a lot of thought given to amending it, which I can tell you, and I agree with Commissioner Prince, it definitely needs to be looked at and be amended to some degree, because there's a lot of issues there that we already know that the vast majority of citizens don't want it. So if we know that up front, then it's a place geographically for anything, any type development. It's a place and a time to where we want to make sure we don't infringe on people's rights to do what they want to do on their property, but we also want to make sure that other people don't infringe on those people's rights. So having said that, I yield the floor to District 2.
No comment. I don't have any comments this morning.
You had no comments. I yield the floor to District 5.
No comment.
No comments. Okay. Mr. County Manager, do you have any comments you'd like to make at this time publicly?
Yes, I do. Board, first to go back into yesterday's meeting, it was in regard to some requests that Commissioner Prince and Commissioner Preston had asked about us revisiting the zoning aspects for the R2, R3, R4 categories. And unfortunately for me, it was done several weeks back. And when we first got the notice, it's going to take longer than 6 months. I mean, we've got ARC who will be participating in it. And the question is going to boil down, do we want to make the amendment or start working towards amendment now, investing in that, or letting the ARC process, which is get started this year, but it is going to be a long haul. So it's going to be a question of how we do it. The board will give us direction on that. I'm meeting with Commissioner Prince today. Mr. Gibbs is involved, so we'll know whether it's something we need to press to right now, or do we go and do this modification when ARC comes in. Now, the original document is from 2009, and when we look back as the last time that the FLOM was actually looked at, Henry County has changed in so many ways that I still don't understand yet. So it's important that we take the time and get it right. I think Mr. Gibbs is right on track as far as to get us where we want to go, but the citizens' input and making certain Henry County retains those things that make it Henry County is exactly what our purpose and what the FLUM is intended to do for us. So we'll pick up on that meeting with the rest of the board this afternoon, share you what we know on it. I need to back up also on another matter. It's never good when the police department or public works or anybody calls you on Christmas Eve. They're not calling to wish you a Merry Christmas. When Mr. McMickle called and advised that there was a dam that was at peril, that both the primary and secondaries were running at capacity, we recognized we were going to have some trouble and it wasn't going to get any better. If you recall, it rained a little bit for several days before we got the big events at Christmas. So with that, we started mobilizing folks, and you can imagine the phone calls we had to make to get people to come out on Christmas Eve. But they showed up. They did their job. They did exactly what you'd want them to do, how you'd want to do it. So I'm very proud of that affiliation, how Mr. McMickle, and we're not supposed to speak evil of people not here, but he did a great job. And he ran right through the end of his contract. As far as I knew, on New Year's Eve, Terry was still on the job. So I want to say thank him, and certainly want to thank Wade and the staff that continued on once we picked up. I think we're We've still got a couple of roads that are out. Peach was a remarkable washout. Just a lot of volume of water, short amount of time. Interesting enough, even in Henry County, we had a high variation of rainfall. I was in the western part of the county Christmas night, and then the day after, and it seemed to me that they've got a lot more rain over by the track and the airport. I hadn't got the volumes, but that night it rained very hard, and I think it inch rains hour for well over 3 hours. So I think you got a lot more rain on the western end of the county than you did perhaps on the southern end, but then it picked back up on the northeastern. So we don't know what occurred, but there was a wide variation in the rainfall that fell on Henry County over the last 12 days. An update on the 2 GO grants. There were some emails that were passed around. I want to make certain that I've got the board understanding what I'm doing. When we were before you last, we had representatives from the grants, GDOT, who described what we could do with the GO grant. And they allowed us and told us that we could apply for 2 portions, a transportation and a capital grant seemed to fit Henry County best. One of them that we're pursuing looks to be a capital that would facilitate a park and ride facility, and that's the one that you authorized at the last meeting to be applied for. You have not authorized it to be submitted until I hand it to you and you look at it and decide that's what you want to do. We're just preparing the document and having it ready for the end of January's deadline. I think it's 31st. Next week, you'll have Mr. Salters, who has a capital plan he wants to submit that will address some buses and address some fixed base routes that will serve all the municipalities in Henry County, as well as those contingency things that support the shopping areas, the transportation hubs, things like that. He's going to be asking for authorization to submit that grant, permission to apply for it at your next meeting. And the same will apply. Before I submit that grant, and I think at that meeting you will have a copy of his grant application, so you'll see the full details of that one as well as the GO grant for the park and ride at that meeting. You can pick one, you can pick both, you can deny them all, but that'll be where we'll, on the 19th is when we'll be coming back to you to authorize us to submit it. So in the packages that I've written, and it's under my signature, a lot of grants, I try to find the broad-based support that lets the raters of these grants see that there's been community engagement. It's just not one group or one small group. So I've asked, and the chairman has agreed to help me with this, to get some resolutions from some of our community leaders, our agencies, and particularly the municipalities. We're asking for a resolution of supports for the 2 grants individually, the transportation part and then the park and ride part. Both of them are transportation related. But we're going to ask that support in a resolution form from the municipalities, and that's what the emails were that I was discussing in my exchange with you last night. Just to update you on something I'll continue to remind you about as we're going through time, I have planned that we have a tabletop drill and an active emergency management drill in this building on this site on April 12th. From around 6 in the morning to around noon. This is an active shooter. It involves everybody that works in this building. It will impact our services that day. I have talked to Mr. Reddick and Mr. Curry, so everybody in the building will be affected. It's going to be a multi-agency drill, and this is the best way we know how to protect the people in this building and the people who come to this building. So I'll keep you updated as we're going along, but that will be on the April 12th. I will most likely ask the commissioners to participate in various roles during that particular drill. We'll have more for you as time goes on. Does the board have any questions for me?
I'm going to yield for District 3.
Lyndon, I've had several employees approach me and ask me where we stood on the clinic, and I've asked you to send out a email to all our employees and let them know. I don't know if you've done that, but I'm still getting calls. Can you give us a brief update on where we stand on the clinic?
Yes, sir. Commissioners, when the clinic contract was acted before you, or before it got before you, we had some issues with the contract that led me to believe that I wanted to revisit it in terms of terms, specific performance, and the requirements of the county to enable that contract to provide the services that I think you intended, which was to provide another venue for medical care, clinic-type care for the employees and their families. The contract, I think we've got some issues with it. I'm not certain to the degree that they've all been resolved, but I asked Ms. Matthews yesterday, and I committed yesterday to start going back through it to clear those contracts up, and certainly the contractor and our agents for it are willing and ready to come meet with us and try to address all these issues on it. I'm committed to try to work through those this week to get you a better answer as to whether we're going to be able to amend the contract to the satisfaction of the board, or whether we can work out the details that are in favor. As I understand it, verbally, I haven't seen it in writing yet, the business matters that were a part of the original agreement, I understand the contractor's willing to discuss or has already made some changes. I just need to go back and pull it from all the folks I brought in to take a look and see what their responsibilities were for implementing that contract. Have we addressed all their issues and concerns? I had a few pages, but I made certain the implementers who are responsible for implementing had a chance to review it, and let's get all their questions answered. Then I've done a better job to making certain we're getting the services that you intended for your employees and their staff.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? I yield the floor to District 1.
Yes, Mr. Bonner, could you tell me some kind of time frame on the clinic as far as?
Not specifically today. My afternoon will probably spent going through the details on it. I don't think it's going to be by the end of the month. I think by your next meeting, I'm going to have a plan for you about what we are going to do and what the board will need to authorize for the clinic. How about I just go ahead and commit that I will have it on your next agenda?
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? If not, I recognize the county attorney. You have any comments?
No, sir.
Upcoming meetings and events, January the 19th, 6:30 p.m. is a regular meeting. February the 2nd at 9 a.m. is a regular meeting. February the 15th is a regular meeting, but we're going to cancel that for winter break. If somebody would move to approve.
So moved.
Okay. We moved in that direction. Have a second? Have a second from District 1. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. I'm going to look back. I don't think I made mention of the minutes of the December the 1st meeting. Did I overlook that? We took care of it? They approved it, right? Okay. Let's move down to, it appears we have a need for executive session. I understand we got, I know, pending or potential litigation, so that means council would be in the meeting. Do we have any?
We have real estate acquisition pending and threatened litigation, and I understand we have a personnel issue as well.
We do.
We do or not?
We do.
We do have personnel issues?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if somebody would move to adjourn in executive session in accordance with the laws of the state of Georgia, and it be exclusively for the acquisition of real estate pending and or potential litigation of personnel matters.
So moved.
Have a motion, District 3?
Second.
Second from District 4. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. We're now adjourning, and we're going into executive session, and we will be out when we get through.